like my boss. How old are you?
Okay.
Are you kidding me?
Are you mentally slow? Whoa! Hey, girl! Hey, girl! Have mercy!
Am I right? There could be a check in it for you.
Del Perro Boulevard made me want to cry.
And Zelensky's point was that if you're going to shake me down, I want the protection that the takedown comes with. And Trump was like, no, you can't have the protection. So, no, it's not security unless we say it's a security deal. But that shouldn't have been litigated in front of the cameras. And that's a problem for another day. But no, we should be.
But doesn't he want? I mean,
Zelensky's right.
but doesn't the president Zelensky? Wouldn't he have, in just in negotiations, if everything is done behind closed doors, and as opposed to saying in front of a camera, there is zero accountability to be able to reference. It's just a he said scenario. So didn't he want it in front of the camera in part to say, you're telling me what you're describing, Scott, as in the mineral deal is enough to say, mess with that's in our interest, Putin, you got a problem with the United States, then say that on camera in that moment. Isn't that what his goal was, to say,
yes,
it on camera?
And I think Zelensky's right, B, Zelensky is righteous, and C, he failed to read the room. And he did his own cause a disservice by losing Trump, which is not the way that you get American foreign policy on your side these days, right or wrong. So the system is not great. You have to pretend Trump knows what he's talking about to get what you want. But Zelensky didn't even do that. So now we're where we are.
You're suggesting that he should have walked into the Oval Office and boxed in the President of the United States on camera. I mean, look, he's not in a position to do that.
He said as much. He said as much.
And I heard Marco Rubio, our Secretary of State, say on air tonight, I believe, that the economic deal is in and of itself a security deal. Zelensky should have known that. This is a huge, unfortunate misstep. I don't know what's going to happen next, but I know we're in a worse place.
I think they can fix it. I think they can fix it.
Okay. Well, glass half full on a Friday evening. I think his point was he just didn't have to get on his knees to do it. Scott Jennings, Josh Rogan, thank you both so much. Europe waking up to some dramatic headlines their morning. The Sun's front page, Ukraine hero ambushed, with the headline, The Fight House. The Daily Mirror, peace hopes in tatters, shock and war. And the Times, meltdown in Oval Office. So what are America's allies and Vladimir Putin thinking right now, I wonder? Former Republican Congressman Adam Kinzinger standing by with his own assessment. And later, we've got the new timeline and the death of Gene Hackman as the curious case gets even stranger.
Upset stomach? Iberogast. Indigestion? Iberogast. Bloating? Iberogast. Thanks to a unique combination of herbs, Iberogast helps relieve 6 digestive symptoms to help you feel better. 6 digestive symptoms, the power of nature. Iberogast.
My accountant, who uses unsecured email, has all my tax info.
Tax forms have all the personal info thieves need to steal your identity. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points for identity theft. Get a first-year offer at LifeLock.com.
Sure, this prints business cards. We also print these and those. And engrave that. We print your brand on everything so customers can notice you, remember you, and follow you.
He went to the sitting president.
And former Republican Congressman Adam Kinzinger. Congressman, you were listening to our conversation, the debate we're having about how it was perceived, the behavior of Zelensky versus Vance and Trump. Where do you stand?
I was actually crawling out of my skin listening to that. I mean, Scott, I expect he's always has to defend Trump, but Josh surprised me a little bit. I mean, look, this is the freely elected president, the democratically elected president of the largest country in Europe. He has every right to defend his integrity, to defend his own nation's integrity, and to push back on misinformation. Donald Trump continually says, we've given $350 billion, and we haven't given $350 billion. He continues to lie and say Ukraine's been totally destroyed. It hasn't. It's been heroically defending. We're on year 3 of a 3-day war. Vladimir Zelensky had every right to stand up for himself, and a vice president should never have spoken to a president like that. And frankly, if we had a good president, he would have told his vice president that. It makes me honestly sick to hear it. And I'll say really quickly, Republicans have to take Reagan's name out of their mouth, because he gave the speech in the Goldwater Convention where he said, we can have peace and we can have it this next second, surrender. But therein lies the road to serfdom. And that is exactly what Donald Trump is advocating for, is surrender.
You know, on that point, Vice President Vance, he has not been shy about his views of Ukraine, and famously saying he didn't care about what happens to Ukraine. The fact that he did insert himself, not just insert himself, he was proactively leading the conversation at times, trying to compel Zelensky to say repeatedly that he was grateful, that he was thankful. He has been that and has said that repeatedly to the United States over time. But he invoked the idea that he had campaigned with then Vice President Kamala Harris. Is that the source of the irritation?
No, there's a really weird thing with J.D. Vance and some of the people he runs with that have this really weird thing for Russia. And J.D. Vance has basically shown his affection for Russia. And, you know, with him and Trump, people keep acting surprised. I mean, this is what they've said they're going to do. So it has nothing to do with the campaign. Vladimir Zelensky did not endorse Kamala Harris. He went to the sitting president, by the way, Joe Biden was the sitting president. There's always a campaign. So can you never talk to a president when there's a campaign? And he saw where people in Scranton, Pennsylvania were creating 155 munition shells for artillery to help Ukraine defend itself. It was amazing that he went there.
Girl, come on. Fuck.
Donald Trump would be upset.
This piece of fucking
No
shit.
other time, the sitting president of the United States has every right to take somebody like Zelensky to a munitions factory. And they can get ticked off all they want about it. But ultimately, Donald Trump, people have to go to the Oval Office, what your prior segment was saying, and we have to be really careful because this toddler kid, he could go off and get really...
Come on!
That's
Fuck!
we should be proud of. That should be somebody that we say, that is not in America.
So, did Vladimir Putin emerge the victor today?
Yes. Name one time that Donald Trump has ever said anything bad about Putin. He can't even say that Putin invaded Ukraine, and even Putin says he invaded Ukraine. They are happy because the Russian economy is about to collapse. They're out of offensive combat power. They're basically trying to hold any ground they can in Ukraine, and Donald Trump is throwing the quickest lifeline he can out there to save it.
Can Zelensky salvage this at all?
Yes, he can. I don't think he needs to do it by coming crawling in the Oval Office. I want people like, Lindsey Graham, like these congressmen and senators that say they support Ukraine to actually exert some pressure for once to do your job and actually, defend this country. So then it can. Otherwise, Europe has to step up too. And I think Europe made it very clear in their statements today that they will fill the gap of the United States. And by the way, America, if you're excited that we're no longer the leader of the free world and we get to sit back and relax now, the cost this is going to put on us eventually is going to be immeasurable. It's going to be immeasurable, the cost in lives and combat power and everything else we're ultimately going to have to use.
Adam Kinzinger, thank you.
You bet.
Up next, a leading theory in how after Gene Hackman died. Now, that was apparently rolled out.
I literally don't care about this whole Gene Hackman bullshit. Like, who gives a fuck? Maybe I don't know who this man is, but I don't really... Okay, great. The man and his wife died. Okay. Because to me, it seems really like he died. She was like, I won't be famous anymore. I'm out. I won't be able to have this house no more. The life I live, I'm out. That's what it sounds like to me. Great. Because, bitch, I think she's, like, young. Like, she's, like, 40-ish.
Take your time. You own the place after all. Stay strapped.
Think I won't be.
And fun as he was, they tried.
and who was hoping that Hope would be able to bring some type of money on.
That actually
And so, but she didn't. She didn't. And from what I'm to understand, what's customary when somebody is a founder of an organization, what's customary is that they're not in any power position, but anytime that you are having an event anytime you have a situation, is Marissa Black? Yes, she is. She's Black. She's a Black trans woman. Yeah, she has. She looks great. Marissa, because she's the founder, the normal thing for you to do is you kind of parade the founder out. Like when you're the new person in the position, you parade. It's like the founder is da 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 da. It's like you show love to your predecessor. You show love to them. You put them in like you have them sitting on the side of the you have them you just. It's just what it is. You show them love and you put them. It's almost like you parade them. You put them. Put them on display and you thank them. And then you tell them. You talk about their vision and then you talk about your own vision. What's going forward? This is the foundation of what we created, and this is what I'm bringing new to the table. And blah 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 blah. They are not a part. They shouldn't have power in the sense of trying to make you not do your vision as the ED, but it is out of respect that you have this person involved with the festivity. And so apparently they were trying to push Marissa out, but Marissa wasn't going anywhere in the sense of going somewhere as in, yes, I'm not going to be the ED, but I'm going to be a part of the advisory committees. I'm going to be a part of the board. I'm going to be a part of the situation, but I'm just not going to be the ED. But I'm not going to control anything. But the gag is, it's the funders that she brought that was still funding the project because Hope didn't bring any money. And so she was still involved in the sense of still trying to get funders to bring money to the citizen. All these funders thought that you were going to have connections to bring more money in, but in the whole year, you didn't bring nothing in. And so, me and the board decided to not renew your contract. So instead of just being professional and leaving, put it on your resume and going to do something else that you're already doing all these amazing things that you're claiming that you're doing, she didn't raise any money. Not for the org, that's what if you're ED, that's what you're supposed to do. Now, I don't know what you raised for herself, but she's raised it for the org. And if you're supposed to do this, and you did it, the board is going to be like, oh, we got to go with somebody else. The board is your boss. You're not their boss. The board is your boss. The board of the org. And being that Marissa is the owner of the organization, she owns the trade. She owns the business. She's the owner. So she's never going, and they have a fiscal sponsor. It's not like it's an org that's already has a 501c3. They have a fiscal sponsor. And so she's the owner of the org. Yes, she's the ED now, but she's the owner. And so she still is in a powerful position as the owner. And you thought that you was going to come in as the ED and push her out. And you thought, oh, I'm going to use this platform to make myself great, but without bringing any money in. But you didn't have the finesse of doing what you need to do with the founder because you don't have experience in being an executive. You don't know that you gotta play the game. You don't know that it's not just I'm in the spotlight, I'm in the spotlight. You have to play the game. You gotta say, let me bring out the funders, let me bring out the founder, let me bring out the people who help me. The great EDs know how to build relationship with people. It's not about ego. It's about making your organization look good. And a easy way to make your organization look good is, especially in your first year, if you are smart, and having the gift the gab and being able to talk does not mean that you're smart. Because some people, they have the gift the gab, and that's where it ends. And so, with her, what she should have done was, yes, that was a gamble for Marissa. But she gambled it for a year and then said, no, I'm done. You didn't bring no money in. You didn't bring as much money as I thought you was going to bring in, if any. And so all the money that was coming in is stuff that I already brought in. That's Marissa's perspective of it. So now you're on this line. Is Marissa good people to you? Marissa is consistent to me. I've never been in a situation with Marissa where the business side of what we got going on wasn't top tier. Anytime we did business together, it was, I got my money on time or early. Always when she's in situations, yes. But front facing, she is professional, and every time the money is on point. I've never been in a situation with her where the coins weren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. Now, I don't know what else Marissa has done, or I don't know nothing about none of that. But what I know from what I have seen behind the scenes and what I have seen in my own experience with the business with her, she has always been clear up front, and all the T's are crossed and I's are dotted. Any business that I have dealt with Marissa on any business level, it's always been legit. So I've never had, even when people were like, I feel some kind of way, I don't know what's going on. When it comes to me and what I saw, I'm always professional. Always professional, always doing what she needs to do. Now, Marissa is from my hometown. She got a documentary out about her life. She got some history with her, but in regard to this business, I ain't seen no negative. Now, back in the day, when she was in the streets, sex working, and let's see some mess. But I know her from back in the day. So I'm gonna have a different it's like if you meet me when I was robbing tricks.
Ben LeBeau said it was a firing squad, and I had never seen anything like it before.
Joining me now, Michael LaRosa, former special assistant to President Biden. Michael, I wonder, do you believe what Trump said in that interview that Biden blames Pelosi and Obama?
I'm sure he does. I'm sure it felt that way. But I think it would be a very simple view to take that, to take that point of view, only because, I mean, they were kind of the shield for the rest of the rank and file members of Congress who were very angry at the president, who saw their own polling dip, and they sort of stood in the breach. But I think in the reporting that came out after, the person that most reflects how serious the situation was the reporting that came out about Senator Reid from Rhode Island, Jack Reid, who is no drama, very sober-minded, quiet, reserved, never says a word in caucus, never makes waves, but somebody who has known Joe Biden for 30 years, served with him, has known him well, and he advised the president's staff that he should take two cognitive exams. Sorry about that. And release the results. But the point is that it was coming from Jack Reed. And that's when you know how serious the situation within the Democratic Party was and how impaired the president's reelection campaign was.
So talk to me about now, because in between there's been that developed trust issue that people have said, and Republicans have seized on the idea that they believe that the American people were gaslit by a staff that shielded that from you. They're running on that. They ran on that. They now have a trifecta in Washington. So what do Democrats do about this now?
Look, we have to have these uncomfortable conversations because that's why we're here in the first place. That the leadership or whomever, that the Democrats in Congress, the rank and file, weren't willing to have these conversations with Joe Biden in November of 2022 instead of July of 2024. Part of the problem here was that for 15 months, the polling, everybody saw the polling. He was behind or he was even with President Trump for 15 months, and yet they weren't taking opportunities to go on Meet the Press, to go on Sunday shows. They were turning down network town halls. They weren't doing press avails. Donald Trump was doing everything he could to be out in front. And when you know you have vulnerabilities, you should be showing and telling. But instead, they disengaged. That was their strategy. If you can't do a Super Bowl interview in the year you're running for president, that should have been a sign. And I think it was.
Republicans were criticized, and still are, for looking backwards at the last elections and not getting over it, so to speak. Although, very different scenario in terms of January 6th and beyond, and election denialism. But are Democrats going to be hampered if they're still trying to assess what happened there with Biden, as opposed to looking for who the new leader is, who will be on that ticket, and the midterms?
Well, the midterms come first, right? Prelims before the finals. And I think that's a big part of this. Like I said, the polls were what they were for 15 months, and yet Democrats were attacking the polls. We loved polls when we were running. We were ahead all the time. Instead of attacking the polls, attacking journalists at CNN or the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times for their reporting, why didn't we just try to fix the problem? Why didn't we just try to get him out there, start showing and telling? But it was the opposite. They decided to undermine polling, undermine data, and that is kind of where you hear this term gaslighting from, because we could all see it for a year and a half. And by the time, as Karine said, the circular firing squad came, it was too late. They lost the benefit of the doubt.
We'll see what happens in the weeks and months to come. Thank you so much for your analysis. All right, Friday night, which means you still have just under, 48 hours to catch up on all the Oscars hype and drama before the big reveals. We'll start you off next.
That's right. You mentioned a whole new thing.
No, you may not think of me the same way you might think of me now. I remember I was robbing tricks. So back in the day, I know what was going on with Marissa. Marissa, she's in recovery. There's all kind of stuff going on with Marissa that I know about because we from the same hometown. We from Indianapolis. I know her. She's one of the old heads. She was one of the old, at the time she was a Bush queen. But she transitioned later. We have a history. But in regard to the business of nonprofit and activism, the business side of it, it's always straight. It's always on the up and up for me. So, but I say all of that to say this. If you are let go from a job, why are you stealing their social media? That's unprofessional. There's no way around it. There's no way to clear it up. There's no way to clean it up. You stole, you took over, and
Yes. Hotel Travago. You'll be back. Evil can't help people.
social media of the company that let you go, and you're holding it hostage. You talking about, I'm gonna change it into something that is for black and brown trans people. I got permission from the person who created it, and they hired him to do that. They hired him to create their social media like they hire any social media person, social media manager. And then you steal their social media. That's like me working for Target and running a
Come on.
taking their shit and saying, "Oh, I'm gonna turn it into something that benefits black people because they need to continue their DEI." No, bitch, you stole their shit. There's no way around it. And like she said it with her own mouth. Yeah. She knows she was wrong.
Yes, the old Instagram page in order to promote my nonprofit, which I didn't even start promoting yet because I have other things that I have dealing with.
That is fraud. That you don't have permission to do that. Like there's no way around it, baby. You are a scammer. There's no way around this. And you're trying what you're trying to do is before they come out and talk about it, you're trying to spin it to your audience.
I educated the community about how to best prepare themselves for the Trump regime that we are currently in.
The Trump regime, girl, what?
But the star, Carla Sofia Gascon, also faces intense backlash for controversial posts. Here to discuss Hollywood's golden moment, writer Ben Arugandande. Thank you so much for being here. He's the author of the new book, Hollywood Blackout, The Battle for Inclusion at the Oscars. So Ben, welcome. And let me ask you, because you've mentioned that despite all the progress, there are so many glass ceilings that have yet to be shattered. For instance, no Latina has ever won Best Actress. Could that possibly change this Sunday?
The odds are stacked, but the nature of the voting and the results is changing, which is why you see such a diverse list this year. So we are hoping that that record, and also the one that says that only one black woman has won in almost 100 years, will also be shattered tonight. So fingers crossed.
Some people you mentioned the diversity, are hailing the diversity of the Oscar nominees, several nominated for the very first time. But there has been a severe political backlash to DEI, and there are grumblings about quotas or too many diversity rules for the Oscars. Your book actually explores past diversification attempts in
got to do with you stealing their social media. How is that helping us? No, you're just stealing their social media for your benefit. And you created a GoFundMe for your nonprofit to promote it in this whole situation. You are a scammer. Just like when you was when you got the GoFundMe for the little boy who me and Dominique talked about this in our interview with Dominique Morgan. You that's what you're scamming. That is what it is. You are scamming. You are a grifter. That's what it is. It's no way around it. You are a grifter. So, I find it to be weird. I find it to be consistent with her lack of integrity. Yeah, that's just what it is. But she already has deleted it. She not deleted the account, but deleted the history, which was the purpose of the whole situation. It's a historical thing. Like there's moments in there. Not to mention the scamming what was the scam that she was doing about her wedding? She was selling tickets to her wedding, and then when people bought tickets, she was supposed to stream it and didn't stream it. Like, what was going on? Who the fuck is buying tickets to Hope Giselle's wedding? Like, who? Sometimes you get scammed because you're dumb. Like, what was that shit about? I never blocked, so I don't know. All of this is secondhand to me. So I don't know about what's going on. But what let me know that she didn't change was the situation between her and Lex. If you remember, her and Lex, she was trying to call Lex a colorist, but she was tricking off on that boy and he wasn't interested in her. And then because he chose a sex worker instead of her, she wanted to talk shit about the sex worker, and it all came out to light, and he started to expose everything. And then it let me know, oh, you haven't really changed your old ways. You still hate sex workers. Dominique got blamed for it. Dominique has nothing to do with what I'm talking about, other than I was making reference to me and Dominique's interview. We were talking about that in the interview with Dominique on the channel. Dominique and Hope don't have any connection. Dominique got her own stuff she got going on. That she's still battling with. That's her own. That's her TR. They ain't got nothing to do with Hope. In a car. That she was buying him gifts. After he done told her, nigga, I ain't into you like that. America ain't never seen a black trans woman get married before. Could have swore we saw the Bradys get married. Did we see Miles Brady and Precious Davis Brady get married? Didn't we see Janet Mock get married? Did we see all of that? But cool. That's cool if you want to celebrate your marriage. I ain't tripping about that. But who is buying the tickets? And then if they buying tickets, and you were supposed to stream, why they didn't get to watch it? Janet Mock is behind the scenes producing and directing. She's enjoying her multi-million-dollar deal with Netflix.
And you are now in the CNN newsroom with me, Ben Hunt, in Atlanta, and it is so good to have you with me. Coming up on the show, a shouting match in the Oval Office. Now, the US president and his Ukrainian counterpart are defending their own actions. What does it all mean for a peace deal with Russia? Plus, technology helps narrow down new details about Gene.
Girl, who gives a fuck?
Very latest on the investigation. And the US economy isn't doing so great. I'm going to explain the factors fueling inflation fears across America. The world is reacting to a dramatic break in relations between Ukraine and the United States. And we saw it happen in real time, on camera, inside the White House. We'll play some of that for you in just a moment. But first, here's where things stand right now. Volodymyr Zelensky says he doesn't feel the need to apologize to Donald Trump. And Mr. Trump says Ukraine must agree to a ceasefire or fight Russia without help from the United States. Have a listen to what each of the leaders said after their clash in the Oval Office earlier.
I want it to end immediately. I want a ceasefire now. He said, oh, I don't want a ceasefire. Well, all of a sudden, he's a big shot because he has the U.S. to the side. Either we're going to end it or let him fight it out. And if he fights it out, it's not going to be pretty. Because without us, he doesn't win.
So I'm not hearing from you, Mr. President, a thought that you owe the president an apology.
No, I respect the president and I respect American people. And if, I don't know if, I think that we have to be very open and very honest. And I'm not sure that we did something bad. Just a ceasefire without security guarantee. This is so sensitive for our people. I'm speaking like a president of a people who are in this struggle 3 years, and they just want to hear that America on our side, and that America will stay with us, not with Russia, with us. That's it.
Mr. Zelensky also said that he thinks the relationship with Mr. Trump can be salvaged, but the incident that led to the comments you just heard was wild. It was a shouting match between the two presidents and the US vice president. Let's listen to part of it.
What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yeah, but if
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine? Did you see what problems we have?
I have been to. I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military? And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning. Sure. First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future.
God bless. You don't know that.
God bless. God bless. You are not in the war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because we're in no position to dictate that. Remember this. You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
Feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and it happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. Right now, you don't have to play cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. It's back to you. Far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once this entire meeting? No, in this entire meeting, have you said thank you? You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war.
He's not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country is in big trouble. No, you've done a lot of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning. You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of coming out okay because of this.
Well, CNN's Jeff Zeleny is in Washington with more on the diplomatic breakdown.
The outbursts from inside the Oval Office still reverberating here in Washington and indeed around the world as the prospect of a deal between the United States and Ukraine broke down in spectacular fashion on Friday. But President Trump, as he left the White House Friday evening, placed the blame on Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. He said he is not a man who wants to make peace.
He's dealing with a very strong set of cards and that he doesn't want to make peace. So that's where we are. It's very simple. I'm not looking to get into anything protracted. I want immediate peace. President Putin is going to want to make, and he wants to end it. And you saw what I saw today. This is a man that wants to get us signed up and keep fighting, and we're not doing that. Not for this country.
Of course, that is not the full picture. Zelensky was pushing back against the idea that Putin can be trusted, as President Trump has repeatedly said. Zelensky also pushing back against the fact that he needs and wants some type of a security guarantee, some type of a backstop that the U.S. would essentially have the back of European forces in Ukraine should Putin decide to invade once again. Now, the deal that Zelensky came to the White House to sign over the rare earth minerals, to share some of the minerals, to get some economic cooperation going, that did not even get signed or discussed. There was, though, a signing table in the East Room of the White House. The table was set up, flags from the Ukrainian side, the American side on display. A lunch was ready to be served as well. All that was canceled. The White House has sent Zelensky out of the office, and he was simply left to wonder what is next to this relationship. Before leaving Washington, Zelensky said in a Fox News interview that he regretted how it played out, but he did not apologize for what he said. The question now, can this diplomacy be reopened? Jeff Zeleny, CNN, the White House.
Well, as that diplomatic disaster was happening, the U.S. Secretary of State was sitting right next to the U.S. Vice President. Later, speaking with CNN's Caitlin Collins, Marco Rubio criticized President Zelensky for discussing security guarantees before getting a ceasefire agreement. He says President Trump wants to first stop the fighting in Ukraine.
What he said is, why am I going to be talking about security guarantees? Let me get a peace deal first, is what he said. That doesn't mean they can't happen as part of that negotiation, but you have to have an agreement that, well, what peace is there to secure if you first don't have an agreement on peace? Like, what do the Russians need in order to end this conflict?
So you're saying it would happen as part of the negotiations?
Well, again, why do you end a war? You have to find out what the combatants require in order to stop shooting at each other. What are the Russians' needs? What do they need to see in order for them to stop fighting? What do the Ukrainians need in order to stop fighting? And then once you have that in place, then you can decide the next step, which is, and what do we need to do to make sure this never happens again? That it doesn't happen in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. I don't think President Trump is interested in a 1 year ceasefire. I don't think he's interested in a 6-month ceasefire. He wants this thing to end. He has said that repeatedly. But again, he's not going to use the kind of language that maybe plays well in the public sphere or in the political sphere for people that want to take shots at him, but it's not going to allow us to have a negotiation or even to explore a potential negotiation. President Donald Trump is a man who's made deals his entire life in business, and he's bringing those principles to government. And he's the only one in the world that has any chance. If Donald Trump tomorrow decides, I don't care about Ukraine, I don't care about Russia, and I don't care about this war, and he walks away, I ask you, I ask everyone, well, who on this planet has any chance whatsoever, even a 1% chance, of getting the combatants to the table? The answer is there is no one. He is the only one on earth right now that has any chance. If there is a chance of peace, he's the only one that has a chance to deliver on it.
Many world leaders were quick to come out in support of Ukraine after that drama in the Oval Office. Germany, the UK, Australia, and Spain are just some of the countries saying they will stand with Kiev, while the French president says it's crystal clear who is who in Ukraine.
We all know the situation. There is an aggressor, and that is Russia. There are people attacked who are from Ukraine. We were all right to help Ukraine and sanction Russia 3 years ago and to continue to do so. And when I say we, I'm talking about the United States of America, the Europeans, the Canadians, the Japanese, and many others. And that's it. Therefore, we must thank everyone who has helped, and we must help those who, from the beginning, have been fighting.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said that Ukrainians have fought with courage and resilience, and that their fight for democracy and freedom matters to all. Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni called for a summit between the US and the European Union on Ukraine, adding that every division of the West makes it weaker. While the top EU diplomat, Kaja Kallas, said it became clear the free world needs a new leader now, and Europe should take that challenge. But the clash in the White House fell on very receptive ears in Russia. Matthew Chance has more from Moscow.
Well, privately, Russian officials told me they were gobsmacked by the spectacle that unfolded in the Oval Office. The idea that national leaders of both the United States and Ukraine would engage in such a public slanging match in front of the cameras was, I suppose, just as shocking here in Russia as everywhere else. Publicly, though, Russian official reaction has been supportive of the Trump White House. President Zelensky alone behaved badly and was disrespectful. How Trump and Vance restrained themselves and didn't slap him is a miracle of endurance. That's a comment from Maria Zakharova, the Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman. The former Russian president and close Putin ally Dmitry Medvedev went further. The insolent pig finally got a slap down in the Oval Office, he said. The Kiev regime is indeed gambling with World War III. Behind those expressions of outrage, the Kremlin is quietly sitting back and watching with glee as its rivals unravel. Firstly, the humiliation of Zelensky at the hand of the US president, his most important patron, is a clear victory for the Kremlin. The spat has plunged crucial US military support for Ukraine into serious doubt. Meanwhile, Washington now seems closer to Moscow on the question of Ukraine than its European allies, a division that fulfills a long-standing Kremlin objective of splitting Western unity. Well, historic is how one Kremlin dealmaker and envoy Kirill Dmitriev described the chaotic scenes in the White House, and it may be right. For better or worse, history is indeed likely to judge the historic events of the day. Matthew Chance, CNN Moscow.
A setback for Pope Francis at the hospital. Details on the complications he faces and how medical staff have responded.
When I mentor young girls, the biggest piece of advice I give them is don't be afraid. People might say that girls don't belong, that you're too weak, too delicate. Always remember your why. You have nothing to lose if you're doing it from the heart. You'll achieve something you didn't think was possible.
I got this KitchenAid stand mixer for only $56.
DealDash.com. Online auctions since 2009. This PlayStation 5 sold for only 50 cents. This iPad Pro sold for less than $34. Go to DealDash.com and see how much you can save.
Stacy is about to have her best day ever on the runway. Her strut turns into a stumble. The Pumpkin Pet insurance plan covers up to 90% of eligible vet bills. Get a plan like Gracie's at pumpkin.care.
Do you have a box of videotapes, film reels, or photos that are degrading? Legacy Box professionally converts them to DVDs, thumb drive, or the cloud. Legacy Box is simple and safe, with over 1 million satisfied customers.
Visit legacybox.com. We try to be global and we try to be smart. But I want to hear authentic voices of people who are passionate, who are intelligent, and that's the consistency that we try to get at. Reads account.
The relations between Ukraine and the United States administration that can be fixed as of right now.
Well, after all the drama today, the U.S. Secretary of State said that the President Zelensky owes the U.S. President an apology. Now, I know you've got some thoughts about that. What do you think?
I think President was standing up for our country, and I know that he was under a lot of pressure. And, I just hope that he, at this tough time, knew that his country is standing behind him. We are not stepping down, and we are not falling for the bullets. We have proven that with hundreds and thousands of people who have died after the full-scale invasion. So we did not capitulate in 2022, and we will not capitulate right now. We will move forward with a dignified and free way, the way we were doing it before.
Things can't continue as they currently are, though. I mean, this relationship does need to be repaired in some way. What do you think needs to be done to get to that point?
That's a good question. The goal of our country is not to have President Trump and President Zelensky to be friends, right? And I think President was very clear about that in his interview after the incident in the Oval Office. We have to figure out the way for our country to get a path moving forward. This path starts with the security guarantees that we need. Otherwise, it will be like all useless talk that will just distract us from our main goal, which is to make sure that we survive and Russia would not attack us again. President Zelensky came to the White House having in hands the rare minerals deal that President Trump insisted on for the last couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. So it was a huge move forward from Ukraine, and we hope that we will receive something for that. And it turned out that it was not the case. And of course, none of the people, especially when I can tell you people fighting at the front line, do not deserve seeing their president being treated this way.
I wonder if I'd ask you really quickly, do you think the war can be won without America's support?
It will be very hard to do, of course. But we cannot win the war if America pressures us to capitulate, right? Or to a ceasefire deal that we don't believe in the bomb shelters. So how would President Trump think that Putin wants peace? What information does he have to support that? And we cannot say, we will just trust that somebody believes Putin is a good guy and we will put our lives on that. Yes. We will not. And President Zelensky wouldn't do that.
Well, for your work, we appreciate it. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for being with me as well, Ukrainian MP Kira Vidya.
Thank you, and glory to Ukraine.
Pope Francis received non-invasive mechanical ventilation after a sudden respiratory episode. The Vatican says he remained alert and oriented on Friday, but is not considered out of danger at this point. CNN's Christopher Lamb reports from Rome.
Well, this is a setback for Pope Francis, given that in recent days we've been told of an improvement in Francis's health condition. The Vatican saying that the Pope had a bronchospasm, which is a tightening of the bronchi, and he is on a non-invasive breathing machine to get the oxygen into his lungs. Now, the hope is that this is an isolated incident. A Vatican source saying that the next 24 to 48 hours will be crucial in determining whether the Pope's general condition is deteriorating or not. The prognosis remains guarded, i.e. it's too soon to tell. Francis has been in hospital since the 14th of February. He's 88 years old and has a history of respiratory infections and difficulties. There's obviously a lot of concern and worry in the Vatican. People gathering to pray behind me tonight for the Pope. They gathered on Friday night in large numbers for Francis. The prayers led by Cardinal Victor Fernandez, a fellow Argentinian, a fellow compatriot of Francis. He led the prayers tonight. Now, obviously, it's a concerning development, and we are awaiting further updates from the Vatican. They are due on Saturday. Christopher Lamb, CNN, Rome.
Data from Gene Hackman's pacemaker shows he was likely dead for 9 days before his and his wife's bodies were discovered at their New Mexico home. The causes of death for the actor and Betsy Arakawa are not known, but officials say the circumstances are suspicious enough to require thorough investigation. The couple's bodies were found in separate rooms with scattered pills found next to Arakawa. A test for carbon monoxide poisoning on both of them came back negative. Investigators continue to work to piece together a timeline of events that led to the couple's deaths. After the break, America's economy isn't doing any better since Donald Trump was sworn in. High prices and other factors are leading to inflation fears. We're going to have the details for you next.
We will end inflation and make America affordable again. It's not affordable. Prices will come down. You just watch. They'll come down, and they'll come down fast. The bacon is through the roof. They're all through the roof. The milk, everything is bad. And we're going to straighten it out. We're going to bring prices way down, and we're going to get it done fast. We're going to get the food prices down. So vote Trump, and your incomes will soar. Your net worth will skyrocket. Your energy costs and grocery prices.
Nope, Mr. Trump didn't lower costs as soon as he took office. Instead, he gave billionaire Elon Musk authority to lay off thousands of Americans, increasing jobless claims across the country. The federal government is America's biggest employer, and high unemployment there means uncertainty and anxiety for Americans, leading to less consumer spending, which is the engine that keeps the US economy going. A recent report shows that Americans curtailed their spending more in January than in the past 4 years. Jobless claims and other factors could impact that even more, including consumer prices or the prices of goods at the store. Those were up 0.5% in January compared to just a month before. And while that may not be entirely the president's doing, it is expected to get worse, with annual inflation sitting close to 3%. Economists warn that the Federal Reserve has a short window to get it back to the goal of 2%. So here's where inflation is hurting Americans the most. Food and energy prices have been the highest. It costs more money to make food at home, meaning going to the grocery store and cooking in your kitchen versus just going out to eat at a restaurant. 0.5% in just 1 month. Eggs have seen a 53% increase compared to a year ago. Outside factors like bird flu wiping out chicken populations have also taken a toll on the egg market. Fewer eggs mean higher prices for those that are available. Trump's tariffs will add weight to all of those economic factors, including U.S. markets.
We're on time with the tariffs, and it seems like that's moving on very rapidly. We've been mistreated very badly by many countries, not just Canada and Mexico.
We are the pot of gold. We're the one that everybody wants, and they can retaliate, but it cannot be a successful retaliation because we just go cold turkey. We don't buy anymore, and if that happens, we win.
This was not just a minor rounding error. Oh no. While processing a $280 transaction, Citigroup Bank mistakenly credited a customer's account with $81 trillion. Yes, that's trillion with a T. An employee caught the error last April after others overlooked it. The payment was reversed within hours, but Citi had 10 near misses of 1 billion or more last year. Regulators have fined Citi heavily in recent years for poor risk management and data failures. The bank says it will invest more to solve that problem. US federal regulators have cleared SpaceX to launch another test flight of its Starship spacecraft just weeks after the last one exploded 10 minutes after takeoff. The new test flight was planned for Friday, but it's been pushed back to Monday. January's explosion over the Atlantic caused flight disruptions and scattered debris across the Caribbean. One environmental group says residents in the Turks and Caicos are still finding debris littering the waters and beaches more than a month after the Starship exploded. All right, I'm Ben Hunt in Atlanta. It's been real. Thanks for joining me and the team. Let's do it again in 30 minutes. Connecting Africa's next.
Told me it was gonna get me. Looked right in my eye and said, I should have run when I had the chance. Well, are you a cop?
I'm not a cop, I'm helping Lester. Have you done it?
What?
Has he done it?
Well, I don't have the Pacific Standard Frequency here. I don't have my tools.
Ain't that convenient. I've got some tools. Come on. Lester will meet you back at your place. And don't worry, the transponder will be ready for the job.
Oh.
I just noticed the candles went out.
Hey. So what you looking for? Keep your eyes open.
Fried chicken and a biscuits. What's up? I love a fried chicken and a biscuit. What's good? What's up? I'm doing some gaming. That is what is up. What's up with you? Fried chicken and a biscuits? I love it. Is that a Popeyes fried chicken and a biscuit? Or Church's fried chicken and a biscuit? Or KFC? Or if you black like that, chicken box. Bitch. Well, that fucked me up. Nothing much, just chilling. Just a name I pick out to not only make people hungry, but it also brings them joy. So I'm all the above chicken, long as it's hot, fresh, and tastes good. Yeah, all of those taste good, except chicken box was salty AF. Like, it was like eating salt. But I love me some good fried chicken though. Ooh. Right? I want to know where you at. Fried chicken and a biscuit. I mean, if you fry chicken and a biscuit, you must be down south. I can say the same thing, bitch. Are you fucking kidding me? Fucking rude. I'm from Baltimore. Come on, Baltimore's in the house. Come on, Baltimore. B Moore's in the house. Girl, I fucks with Baltimore the long way. I've never been, but people that I know from Baltimore, they don't fuck around for real. Y'all don't play. Oh, so I know you black like that. I love the DMV. I fuck with the DMV the long way. Bitch. Come on now. Like, why the fuck you telling me that? I don't need to know that. Yeah, Baltimore keep it together. Yeah, Baltimore keep it together. Oh my God. Now you in a good part of the bad part of Baltimore.
Good, good, good. Yes, you're doing good. Just 3 more little tasks to perform, and we should be good to go. First, we're going to need some hacking equipment, the kind that nobody makes, and the sets that are in existence are all trade.
I mean, I haven't done it for, more than 10 years, 12 years. So, no, I'm not doing it.
Because it's supposed to be the last season. If they ask you about this, you come back?
No.
That bitch said no.
Turkey, can you tell us anything about it? Are you going to be in it?
Oh, Christ, no. I haven't done it since, I haven't done it for, more than 10 years, 12 years. So, no, I'm not doing it.
She said no, bitch. Don't ask me shit.
No.
American Horror Story, season 13. Can you tell us anything about it? Are you going to be in it?
Oh, Christ, no. I haven't done it since, I haven't
Girl,
done it.
I wouldn't either. At this point, I wouldn't either.
Okay, we're gonna get this equipment. First up, you gotta collect the van from outside my garment factory. When you've got the van, I'll come back to you with details on what to do next. You see, I've split a larger task up into a series of smaller, easily achievable goals. Got that from a management book. Does it make you like me more? Do you feel like you're working more effectively? Well, hey, at least you're not thinking about having to kill people. Oh, damn it, I bet that's all you're thinking about now. You got the burrito? All right, get over to the alley off Vinewood. Now we've got the same remote server set up in the back of this van, the white one, as the other heist crew has in the back of their van, the black one. And all that's missing from ours is their magic box. So you're gonna drive into the alleyway and swap their box into our van. Then the decoys will get into the black van, which is now empty, and drive off, making any heist crew that shows up think they've been robbed. Then the driver lets this heist crew chase the black van, waits until it's clear, and brings the equipment in our white van to Paige. That complicated enough for you? Now, one of you is taking our van and bringing it to Paige. The rest of you are waiting in the alley, taking anyone who shows up on a wild goose chase in the other van. Shit, backup's incoming. Lead the crew away from the van with their equipment in it. Take them out to Vespucci. There's an alley the Vagos use. If you towards the van there, they might think it's a gang thing.
Was he watching a movie? No, I'm gaming. I'm doing some gaming. I'm playing GTA Online.
estimated that over 25 million people worldwide are victims of human trafficking. Sadly, it's happening in our community here in South Florida. We urge everyone to report suspicious behavior by calling 911 so that law enforcement officials can thoroughly investigate. We thank you for your attention to this important issue. Broward County's Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport is doing its part to combat human.
Was she? Wait, was she in it? I don't remember her being in it. I really don't.
out from the bridge. They're on the way. Roll out some fly paper, start thinking some nasty thoughts, and do whatever you're gonna do.
Damn. You are telephone part two, baby. You are the visual, baby. You are the visual. You are the visual, baby. You are the visual. Come on, Mother Beyonce. You are the visual. You are the visual. Baby, you are the visual. You are the visual. I'm done. I'm fucking done. Bitch, you are the visual. Bitch. Fuck they doing? I'm done.
The convoy's almost on you. Get ready to take out the Merryweather detail and get the truck. More guys incoming. They called backup. You got the truck? Okay, bring it to Page.
Fuck you going?
Fucking Merryweather! They must have access to satellite imagery. They know where you are and they're coming.
Basically.
So that's a comment from Maria Zaharova, the Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman.
I'm Max Foster in London, and this is CNN. Hello, wherever you are in the world, you are now with me in the CNN newsroom. I'm Ben Hunt in Atlanta, and it is so good to have you here. Let's see what's coming up on the show. An explosive Oval Office meeting casts doubts over the future of US-Ukraine relations. We have reaction from Kiev, from Moscow, and lots of places in between. With Trump's tariffs around the corner, we'll look at the potential impact on America's two largest trading partners. And investigators reveal a new timeline in the death of famous actor.
Girl, nobody gives a... Well, I don't give a fuck about that man and his wife.
The world is reacting to a dramatic break in relations between Ukraine and the United States. President Donald Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance berated Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky while cameras carried the event live across the world. We'll show you part of what happened in just a moment. But right now, some Republicans are calling on Volodymyr Zelensky to apologize, even as the Ukrainian president says he doesn't think he did anything wrong.
So I'm not hearing from you, Mr. President, a thought that you owe the president an apology.
No, I respect the president and I respect American people. And if, I don't know, if I think that we have to be very open and very honest. And I'm not sure that we did something bad. Just a ceasefire without security guarantee. This is so sensitive for our people. I'm speaking like a president of a people who are in this struggle 3 years, and they just want to hear that America on our side and that America will stay with us, not with Russia, with us. That's it.
President Trump now says that despite Ukraine invading Russia and waging war on the country for 3 years, he doesn't think President Zelensky wants peace.
He's got to say, I want to make peace. He doesn't have to stand there and say about Putin this, Putin that, and all negative things.
The incident in the Oval Office was unprecedented. What was supposed to be a meeting turned into a shouting match between the two presidents and the US Vice President too. Let's listen to part of it.
You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. That's back to you far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once this entire meeting? No, in this entire meeting, have you said thank you?
The fallout from the diplomatic disaster has the whole world watching. CNN chief international security correspondent Nick Payton-Walsh has more from Kiev.
A mixture of indignation here in Ukraine about how their president was treated and acute anxiety about what really happens next. If indeed, as seems possible, American assistance, financial and military, begins to ebb or even stall, freeze entirely. There's been a flurry of activity by European leaders, many posting statements of support for Ukraine. Emmanuel Macron, the French president, who indeed paved the way for that meeting in the Oval Office, speaking, according to Ukrainian sources, Zelensky shortly after an extraordinary appearance in the White House, and also to the NATO Secretary General. The Estonian Foreign Minister even suggesting that potentially frozen Russian assets could be used to fund Ukraine's defense separately. Zelensky appeared on Fox News shortly afterwards, suggesting he didn't need to apologize to Donald Trump. He didn't think he'd done anything wrong, but thinking that the relationship could indeed be salvaged, and appearing to suggest that he'd rather that sensitive conversation had occurred outside of the scope of the media. But we're hearing, too, from a senior US official that they believe it's not really up to the US to fix this relationship. That's down to Zelensky himself. And separately, a source familiar with the negotiations says that it was Zelensky's team who pushed for an Oval Office meeting, despite suggestions from the Ukrainian envoy to the Trump administration, Keith Kellogg, that maybe the relationship between Trump and Zelensky wasn't actually ready for that delicate stage. Concerns, too, also from a US official separately, who said that the choice of wardrobe of Zelensky, wearing the black shirt that he's often worn and not a suit, remarked upon by Trump on his arrival, may have set the wrong tone and possibly, a paraphrase here, seemed disrespectful to the White House head. But we are into a completely unknown chapter now here in Ukraine. Europe, in some ways, defiantly going in alone and saying they will back Ukraine. And significant uncertainty here about what comes next in terms of assistance on the front line, where Ukraine is indeed losing, what that might do to morale, to recruitment, and also to Russian advances. And also a fear, I think, that the comments by Senator Lindsey Graham that potentially Zelensky has to fix this or step aside may spark a flurry here of comments and uncertainties about what exactly will happen to President Zelensky if indeed he can't magically fix this rift with the White House upon which Ukraine's defense against Russia so desperately depends. Nick Walsh, CNN, Kiev, Ukraine.
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio was sitting right next to the U.S. Vice President during the Oval Office meeting. He told our Caitlin Collins that President Zelensky needs to make the next move.
You don't believe that this could be, you're not sure that this can be salvaged? I mean, can this relationship between Zelensky and Trump be repaired in your view?
I think anything's possible, but it has to go back to the point that President Trump is interested in being involved in this for the purposes of bringing about an enduring and lasting peace. That's what he wants to achieve. And I think if I'm a country, okay, that's involved in a war with a bigger country, who's losing thousands of people, who's had 3 million people leave my country because they can't be there, who is facing these challenges, I would be thanking a president who's trying to help bring about an end to this war. I would be thanking him, and I would be supportive of what he's trying to do, at least in my public pronouncements and in my public posture. And we didn't see that today, and we haven't seen that for the last few days. Now, will that change? I hope so. It should, for the purposes of global peace and stability in Europe and around the world.
In the last hour, I spoke with Kira Rudin, a Ukrainian parliament member, and I asked her what needs to be done to solve U.S.-Ukrainian relationship.
The goal of our country is not to have President Trump and President Zelensky to be friends, right? And I think President was very clear about that in his interview after the incident in the Oval Office. We have to figure out the way for our country to get a path moving forward. This path starts with the security guarantees that we need. Otherwise, it will be like all useless talk that will just distract us from our main goal, which is to make sure that we survive and Russia will never let us escape. President Zelensky came to the White House having in hands the rare minerals deal that President Trump insisted on for the last couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. So it was a huge move forward from Ukraine, and we hope that we will receive something for that. And it turned out that it was not the case. And of course, none of the people, especially when I can tell you people fighting at the front line, do not deserve seeing their president being treated this way.
I wonder if I can ask you really quickly, do you think the war can be won without America's support?
It will be very hard to do, of course. But we cannot win the war if America pressures us to capitulate, right? Or to a ceasefire deal that we don't believe Russia would ever honor. Look back, today we spent another night under the attacks in the bomb shelters. So how would President Trump think that Putin wants peace? What information does he have to support that? And we cannot say, we will just trust that somebody believes Putin is a good guy and we will put our lives in that. Yes. We will not. And President Zelensky wouldn't do that.
Many world leaders were quick to come out in support of Ukraine after that clash in the Oval Office. Australia, Canada, Germany, the UK, these are just some of the countries that say they stand by Kiev. The president of the EU Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, said Mr. Zelensky's dignity honors the bravery of his people. She added, be strong, be brave, be fearless, and you are never alone. Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni is proposing a transatlantic summit on Ukraine, while the French president said it's crystal clear who is who in that war.
There is an aggressor, and that is Russia. There are people attacked who are from Ukraine. We were all right to help Ukraine and sanction Russia 3 years ago and to continue to do so. Therefore, we must thank everyone who has helped, and we must help those who, from the beginning, have been fighting, because they fight for their dignity, for their independence, for their children, and for the security of Europe.
Back in Washington, lawmakers are divided over how the exchange actually unfolded and who bears responsibility. Democrats are offering support for Zelensky, accusing Trump of unfairly berating him. Most Republicans, meanwhile, are defending the U.S. president, saying Zelensky should do what he says. Here's how two lawmakers reacted.
The kind of belittling and bullying that occurred there, I think, is absolutely shameful for the president and the vice president of the United States. It had very much the feeling of an ambush. And, President Zelensky has thanked me, thanked the delegations that I visited Ukraine with 6 times. I've met with him probably 15 times in total. Every one of those meetings, as you've said so well, he has expressed his gratitude to the American people. And I think now we have to put it back together. I'm hopeful. I can't say I'm confident, but I am hopeful that at the staff level, at the diplomatic level, at the congressional level, we will preserve and use our bipartisan coalition.
I think the president is trying to actually bring Putin to the table. We can disagree on some of the rhetoric or some of the strategy, but the bottom line is you can't get a ceasefire unless you actually bring both parties to the table. This deal that the president has put on the table in terms of economic cooperation between the United States and Ukraine is most assuredly in Ukraine's best interest. And I think President Zelensky needs to get back together with President Trump very quickly and get this deal done.
But the clash in the White House fell on very receptive ears in Russia. Matthew Chance has more from Moscow.
Well, privately, Russian officials told me they were gobsmacked by the spectacle that unfolded in the Oval Office. The idea that national leaders of both the United States and Ukraine would engage in such a public slanging match in front of the cameras was, I suppose, just as shocking here in Russia as everywhere else. Publicly, though, Russian official reaction has been supportive of the Trump White House. That President Zelensky alone behaved badly and was disrespectful. How Trump and Vance restrained themselves and didn't slap him is a miracle of endurance. That's a comment from Maria Zakharova, the Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman. The former Russian president and close Putin ally Dmitry Medvedev went further. The insolent pig finally got a slap down in the Oval Office, he said. The Kiev regime is indeed gambling with World War III. Behind those expressions of outrage, the Kremlin is quietly sitting back and watching with glee as its rivals unravel. First, the humiliation of Zelensky at the hand of the US president, his most important patron, is a clear victory for the Kremlin. The spat has plunged crucial US military support for Ukraine into serious doubt. Meanwhile, Washington now seems closer to Moscow on the question of Ukraine than its European allies, a division that fulfills a long-standing Kremlin objective of splitting Western unity. Well, historic is how one Kremlin dealmaker and envoy Kirill Dmitriev described the chaotic scenes in the White House, and he may be right. And for better or worse, history is indeed likely to judge the historic events of the day. Matthew Chance, CNN Moscow.
Not at all.
After the break, America's economy isn't doing any better since Donald Trump was sworn in. High prices and other factors are leading to inflation fears. We're going to have the details for you after the break.
DealDash.com. Online auctions since 2009. This
across the U.S. One response to President Donald Trump's cuts, layoffs, and DEI purges. A boycott asking Americans nationwide to stop spending for 24 hours. We're not going to know the impact of that for weeks or even months. But what we do know is the U.S. president hasn't kept this campaign promise.
We will end inflation and make America affordable again. It's not affordable. Prices will come down. You just watch. They'll come down, and they'll come down fast. Bacon is through the roof. They're all through the roof. The milk, everything is bad. And we're going to straighten it out. We're going to bring prices way down, and we'll get it done fast. You can get the food prices down. So vote Trump, and your incomes will soar. Your net worth will skyrocket. Your energy costs and grocery prices will come tumbling down.
Nope, Mr. Trump didn't lower costs as soon as he took office. Instead, he gave billionaire Elon Musk authority to lay off thousands of Americans, increasing jobless claims across the country. The federal government is America's biggest employer, and high unemployment there means uncertainty and anxiety for Americans, leading to less economy going. A recent report shows that Americans curtailed their spending more in January than in the past 4 years. Jobless claims and other factors could impact that even more, including consumer prices or the prices of goods at the store. Those were up 0.5% in January compared to just a month before. And while that may not be entirely the president's doing, it is expected to get worse, with annual inflation sitting close to 3%. Economists warn that the Federal Reserve has a short window to get it back to the goal of 2%. So here's where inflation is hurting Americans the most. Food and energy prices have been the highest. It costs more money to make food at home, meaning going to the grocery store and cooking in your kitchen versus just going out to eat at a restaurant, up 0.5% in just 1 month. Eggs have seen a 53% increase compared to a year ago. Outside factors like bird flu wiping out chicken populations have also taken a toll on the egg market. Fewer eggs mean higher prices for those that are available. Trump's tariffs will add weight to all of those economic factors, including U.S. markets.
We're on time with the tariffs, and it seems like they're moving along very rapidly. We've been mistreated very badly by many countries, not just Canada and Mexico. We are the pot of gold. We're the one that everybody wants, and they can retaliate, but it cannot be a successful retaliation because we just go cold turkey. We don't buy anymore, and if that happens, we win.
Well, money matters, so let's dig in some more with Christopher Clark. He's an economics professor at Washington State University, and he joins us from Pullman, Washington. Hi, Christopher. How are you doing?
Good evening, Ben. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too. Let's talk about these tariffs. I know the Mexico and Canada tariffs were already delayed once, and the deadline for that delay is coming up next week. So what's happening now?
Not a lot. The president has continued to say he's going to put in those tariffs again. And who's to say if they'll be delayed again? Who's to say what kind of off-ramp will be offered?
Can you just remind us of why President Trump is actually looking to bring in these tariffs in the first place? And do you think he'll be successful with getting what he wants from them?
Well, that's a good question. He has given a variety of reasons. He said he's worried about fentanyl coming across the border. He's worried about immigration along the border. Or he's worried about protecting American jobs. And in the case of all three of these, especially when we look at Canada, that's just not the case. We imported 42 pounds of fentanyl from the Canadian border compared to 21,000 pounds that were apprehended along the southern border. So that's simply not an issue there. The biggest thing I see, what he really talks about, that is consistent across Canada, Mexico, Europe, and all these others, is he's worried about the trade deficit.
Okay. And we saw major news today with Trump versus Zelensky. Obviously, the world was talking about it. We're talking about it. But did it have a money impact too?
The situation with Ukraine, not a lot. I mean, you can look up and see exactly how much the federal government is supporting the Ukrainian military effort. And it is in the tens of billions, but relative to a $29 trillion economy, it's hardly a drop in the bucket.
Can you just break down for me what this means for the average American's wallet? I mean, I'm in the US now. I'm seeing these grocery prices are crazy. These were supposed to be great times. We were promised greatness. What's going on?
They really were. We import so much produce from Mexico and Canada, so much food. And if we impose these tariffs on them, those food prices will go straight up. I mean, look at what the administration has been saying about eggs. They actually are starting to get this one right. And if you look at the recent White House report, they said they want
the trolls on fire.
To help us out with our
We don't see it today. People are not stealing eggs and crossing the border with them. People are selling eggs individually. Things are wild. What do you think people can do to make sure that they are prepared for any tariffs that do come that may affect their wallets. What can the American people do?
Now is the time to buy. We are seeing in the month of January, imports are skyrocketing. Everybody wants to make sure they get their big ticket items that are manufactured across seas purchased today before the prices increase in the next few months.
What kind of things are you going to be buying then?
Well, looking to get a new washing machine.
Oh, nice. That's talking to my team. Hot tub from somewhere. Love that. Christopher Clark, it's been real. Thank you so much.
Abracadabra, the floor's on fire.
See you later. Fresh information comes to light as investigators work to build a timeline in the mysterious death
Girl, who gives a fuck? I don't.
a drug enforcement agents decades ago. The kidnapping, torture, and
Abracadabra, the floor's on fire.
Netflix show Narcos. Mexican authorities say Caro Quintero is the founder of the Guadalajara cartel. He was one of several suspects extradited to the United States on Thursday. Authorities say Caro Quintero spent the last decade hiding in the jungles of Sinaloa. He could face the death penalty if convicted. A newly unearthed frieze in the ruins of Pompeii offers a rare glimpse into a mystery of Roman antiquity. These scenes of a wild cult ritual once lined a spacious banqueting hall, entertaining guests in the 1st century BC. The excavated artwork depicts the procession of Dionysus, the Greek god of wine. Okay. Life-size images reveal practices meant to help people shed their inhibitions. Pompeii's archaeological park says the frieze is crucial to understanding classical Mediterranean life. They plan to open it for public viewing immediately. We all learned something there. US federal regulators have cleared SpaceX to launch another test flight of its Starship spacecraft just weeks after the last one exploded 10 minutes after liftoff. The new test flight was planned for Friday, but it's been pushed back to Monday. January's explosion over the Atlantic caused flight disruptions and scattered debris across the Caribbean. One environmental group says residents in the Turks and Caicos are still finding debris littering the waters and beaches more than a month after the Starship exploded. Well, that's it. Thanks for joining me and the team. I'm Ben Hunt in Atlanta. It's been real. Let's do it all again tomorrow. Visionaries is up next. Then Linda Kincaid takes over CNN Newsroom in just 30 minutes' time. See you tomorrow.
The fuck?
Got some cool stuff here for you. So what you looking for? Now, Chopper's prime, scary ass shit. Even when I saw his ass coming down the block, I was straighten up. Stay strapped. Sole, maloka vale.
She said, bitch, I'm not tucking.
They're not really known for their love of sports bikes, I know, but the Lost Motorcycle Club has the ones you're after at their East LS clubhouse. bikes, not the choppers. The choppers won't be fast enough to get you away from the cops, and if they were, they wouldn't be able to turn a corner. These bikes use a kinetic energy recovery system. They store the energy you use braking to accelerate later on, to burn the cops and save the environment while you're at it. Okay, as always, don't let them know you're breaking in until you want them to know you're breaking in. There's a bike each. We need all four for the job. When you've got them, stash them in the alley for the job. Sounds like the Lost are mobilizing their troops. A wrecked bike is no good to us, people. Stay out in front of them. I think you're in the clear. Drop the bikes in the alley, and we're nearly to go.
Supergirl. It's Randy. Looking amazing. It's Israel. How is it regular? You're sad. You're very sad. My homeboy got a book called Black Superhero Wonder. Have you at least never taken Okay, can I at least get a picture? Thank you. Which one's yours? She said she can't be in contact with your food. Here, give me this. Take that picture. Oh, come here. You see her with a queen? Do something. This is, you know.
It's better this way because the light is coming this way.
Oh, that's it.
There you go. 3, 2, 1.
Let me see
3, 2,
your
1.
book and stuff.
All right, because you can't touch it, bro. I feel that.
It ain't no G. Did you get that picture?
Yeah, I got it.
Is it good? Let me see.
Ready? All right, 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1.
Thank you, Tupac.
2, 5.
My queen. I'm your bodyguard until now. What you need me to do?
Nothing, baby.
I'll drop all these niggas.
And it's at M88.
I got your back, baby. Hey, see, nobody wants that demonic ass. Look, you only 100, fam. Jesus is Lord, and everybody knows it. What's up with y'all? Miss Israel, straight? My name is Israel.
Hey, Taraji. Looking amazing.
It's Israel. How is your day going? You're very fabulous. I'm home without a book for black people. He said he can't be in contact with
Here, you do it.
Do something. That's it. No.
It's better this way because the light is coming.
That's it.
There you go. 3, 2, 1.
Let's see that light.
All right, because you can't touch it, bro.
It ain't no G.
Yeah, I got it.
Let me see.
All right, ready? All right, 3, 2, 1.
Thank you, Tupac. I'm the bodyguard here now. I'll drop all of them. I got your back, baby. Hey, see, nobody wants that demonic ass. You only 100, fam. Jesus is Lord, and everybody knows it. What's up with y'all? Miss Israel, straight? My name is Israel.
Hey, Taraji. Looking amazing.
It's Israel. I'm home without a book for black people. Okay, can I record with you? He said she can't be in contact with your food.
Here, you get it.
Take that picture. Oh, come here. You see her with a queen? Do something. That's it. You know.
It's better this way because the light is coming this way.
Oh, that's it.
There you go. 3, 2, 1.
Let me see
3, 2,
your
1.
book and stuff. All right, because you can't touch it, bro. I feel it. It ain't no G. I am representing. Did you get that picture? Yeah, I got it. Let me see.
Ready? All right, 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1.
Thank you, Tupac.
Tupac.
My queen. I'm your bodyguard until now. What you want me to do? Nothing, baby. I'll drop all these niggas.
Is that M88?
I got your back, boy. Hey, see, nobody wants that demonic ass. You only 100, fam.
Everything okay? I'll be here. Hey. Got pretty much everything in here. Take your time. You own the place after all.
Okay. So, are you ready? This should be pretty easy. I've kept it simple since you all seem pretty simple.
Boy, drugs. I'm done. Yes, they all rocking out, bitch.
Oh. Three. Five. Three.
Alright, here we go. The one we've all been waiting for. Alright, put your masks on when you get in the bank. Then crowd control. You're on, well, crowd control. When you get in their faces, shout at them, shoot near them if you have to. Just try not to kill them. I knew that wouldn't be cool. Demolitions, hacker, your first job's to subdue the guards. Again, try and do it without killing them. And when that's done, go downstairs and hit the vault. I've given you special carbines with suppressors. Use them wisely. Like I said, this is a big deal, people. Don't fuck it up.
Hmm.
To understand how to stop the war. Well, as the diplomatic disaster unfolded, the U.S. Secretary of State was sitting right next to the U.S. President, Vice President.
And later speaking with CNN's Caitlin Collins, Marco Rubio criticized President Zelensky for discussing security guarantees before getting a ceasefire agreement.
What he said is, why am I going to be talking about security guarantees? Let me get a peace deal first, is what he said. That doesn't mean they can't have it as part of that negotiation, but you have to have an agreement to, well, what peace is there to secure if you first don't have an agreement on peace? Like, what do the Russians need in order to end this conflict?
So you're saying it would happen as part of the negotiations?
Well, again, why do you end a war? You have to find out what the combatants require in order to stop shooting at each other. What are the Russians' needs? What do they need to see in order for them to stop fighting? What do the Ukrainians need in order to stop fighting? And then once you have that in place, then you can decide the next step, which is, and what do we need to do to make sure this never happens again?
Well, many American lawmakers have chosen sides in the dispute, and they were mostly split down party lines.
What we just witnessed was a meeting in the Oval Office between two cowardly puppets and a hero.
If the rug is pulled out and Putin becomes the big winner and a forced ceasefire, not only that disaster for Ukraine, but if anybody believes that Putin will stop at Ukraine, that he doesn't have in his eyes the Baltic states, Poland, and others, they are not students of history.
Obviously, the president's objective is to bring this conflict to a close. And I think that was obviously conveyed in the conversation. This war continuing is to nobody's benefit.
I've never been more proud of President Trump for showing the American people in the world you don't trifle with this man. Zelensky felt like he needed to debate Trump in the Oval Office. JD was awesome. We want to help you, but we're going to be respected.
Well, many world leaders have a very different take on what happened. Britain, Germany, Spain, Poland, and Australia, just some of the countries that came out in support of Ukraine.
The people of Ukraine have suffered greatly in defense of their nation and their national sovereignty. And Russia has acted like a bully, a big country seeking to invade and to take over territory from another sovereign nation, in this case, Ukraine. And like the rest of overwhelmingly countries around the world, we have stood with Ukraine and we will continue to do so.
Well, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said the Ukrainians have fought with courage and resilience and that their fight for democracy and freedom matters to all. While the top EU diplomat, Kayla, said it became clear that to the free world that the free world needs a leader and Europe should take this challenge. Well, CNN Chief International Security Correspondent Nick Payton-Walsh is in Kyiv with more on the contentious meeting and the global fallout.
A mixture of indignation here in Ukraine about how their president was treated and acute anxiety about what really happens next. If indeed, as seems possible, American assistance, financial and military, begins to ebb or even stall, freeze entirely. There's been a flurry of activity by European leaders, many posting statements of support for Ukraine. Emmanuel Macron, the French president, who indeed paved the way for that meeting in the Oval Office, speaking, according to Ukrainian source, to Zelensky shortly after that extraordinary appearance in the White House, and also to the NATO Secretary General. The Estonian foreign minister even suggesting that potentially frozen Russian assets could be used to fund Ukraine's defense separately. Zelensky appeared on Fox News shortly afterwards, suggesting he didn't need to apologize to Donald Trump. He didn't think he'd done anything wrong, but thinking that the relationship could indeed be salvaged, and appearing to suggest that he'd rather that sensitive conversation had occurred outside of the scope of the media. But we're hearing, too, from a senior US official that they believe it's not really up to the US to fix this relationship. That's down to Zelensky himself. And separately, a source familiar with the negotiations says that it was Zelensky's team for an Oval Office meeting, despite suggestions from the Ukrainian envoy to the Trump administration, Keith Kellogg, that maybe the relationship between Trump and Zelensky wasn't actually ready.
Nigga, I want to get this shit done.
Concerns, too, also from a US official separately who said that the choice of wardrobe of Zelensky, wearing the black shirt that he's often worn and not a suit, remarked upon by Trump on his arrival, may have set the wrong tone and possibly, a paraphrase here, seemed disrespectful to the White House head. But we are into a completely unknown chapter now here in Ukraine. Europe, in some ways, defiantly going it alone and saying they will back Ukraine, and significant uncertainty here about what comes next in terms of assistance on the front line, where Ukraine is indeed losing, what they might do to morale, to recruitment, and also to Russian advances. And also a fear, I think, that the comments by Senator Lindsey Graham that potentially Zelensky has to fix this or step aside may spark a flurry here of comments and uncertainties about what exactly will happen to President Zelensky if indeed he can't magically fix this rift with the White House, upon which Ukraine's defense against Russia so desperately depends. Nick Payton-Walsh, CNN, Kiev, Ukraine.
For more analysis, we're joined by Nigel Gould-Davis, a senior fellow for Russia and Eurasia at the International Institute for Strategic Studies. Good to have you with us. So this has been described as a diplomatic disaster, an ambush, an ugly Oval Office spat, and arrogance versus ignorance. What's your readout? How would you characterize it?
Yes, and it's pretty disastrous, and it's hard to think of any precedent for a public falling out quite as dramatic and unexpected as this. And of course, it takes place at a very important moment. Until now, it had been a pretty good week for Europe, that had been shell-shocked by the series of statements that President Trump had made, that Pete Hegseth had made, and J.D. Vance and so on, struggling to come to terms with all of that, to understand what that meant for Europe's future relationship with America. And then the two visits of President Macron and Prime Minister Starmer had seemed to be pushing things in a much better direction. And President Trump, very affable, cordial, warm to them both. So it seemed we had a glide path back to something that we could all have some more confidence in. The crucial moment, of course, the visit of President Zelensky, it all fallen apart now. And it creates very difficult questions, once again, not only for the future of American diplomacy and support for Ukraine, but also for Europe. How does Europe respond to this without being seen to side against Trump and for Zelensky?
Yeah, exactly, because Zelensky was told, without American support, your nation would have already lost. You've got no cards left to play. Is Trump and Vance effectively also telling Europe you're on your own?
That has been at least a big part of the mood music and various statements coming from the White House for the past few weeks. You go back to what Defense Secretary Hegseth said in Brussels. He said Europe must now take responsibility for the overwhelming share of its defense, ruled out the prospect that the United States would provide any guarantee or support for a post-conflict peacekeeping or guaranteeing force of European soldiers in Ukraine. So there are these profound concerns that the realignment of American foreign policy goes far beyond the specific, albeit important, question of how it will engage with Ukraine over the war, and much further towards a reappraisal of the entire transatlantic relationship over the past 8 decades. But again, this has been such a turbulent and unpredictable few weeks. Who's to say where we will be in a week's time, in 2 weeks' time, in a month's time? There is a sense of kind of fluidity to this situation. And by this fluidity, there are possibilities for diplomacy.
Just quickly, speaking of Fox News, Zelensky said he believes that the relationship with Trump can be salvaged, but he's not willing to apologize. What needs to happen to repair relations?
Yeah, I mean, what really sort of alarmed me in seeing the footage of that meeting in the Oval Office was Trump's use of the word disrespect. And for Trump, important more than most leaders, the personal is the political, and if the feeling is disrespect, he's been disrespected. That is something I think that's certainly going to be hard to salvage. So it is ultimately up to President Zelensky and Ukraine to find a way back. Europe can play an important role as I say, you had these warm relationships with Macron and Starmer. So they will be thinking very carefully now how to engage with Trump, bring the two, Trump and Zelensky, back together.
Nigel Gold Davis, appreciate your analysis. Thanks for joining us. Well, still to come, the next phase of the ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas remains uncertain. Saturday was originally meant to be the end of phase one, but talks for phase two have only just begun. We'll have the latest on the fragile agreement next. Plus, a setback for the Pope at hospital. We'll have details on the latest complications facing Pope Francis and how medical staff are responding.
You push it. You try to slide it. You even try to hold them shut. But your doors just won't stay closed no matter what. Introducing Ruby Monkey Magnets. Brand new ultra-thin magnetic plates that will keep your doors and drawers shut. And now may be your last chance to get them at a low price. Just peel to reveal the super strong adhesive. Place the monkey and the magnet and close. Installation is that simple, and now you have a door that will stay shut. So forget drawers that won't stay closed. Every drawer stays closed. It's so fast and so easy. Even large sliding doors or cordless window blinds. Everything stays closed with Monkey Magnets. The secret is the ultra-strong industrial magnet that's powerful attraction keeps your doors and drawers securely shut. These magnets are so strong they can hold this hammer that's nearly 5 pounds. Plus they're super thin. They'll fit just about anywhere, and they stay out of sight. Even screw them in for a more permanent solution. Monkey Magnets are perfect for cabinets, dresser drawers, sliding closet doors, accordion doors, and more. They're made of ultra-durable metal, so even your outdoor problems are solved in an instant because they're corrosion and rust resistant. Use them anywhere outside the house, even on that stubborn mailbox that won't stay shut. Monkey Magnets can stick anywhere, from drywall to all types of wood frames, metal surfaces, and more. Call or go online now to get 8 sets of Monkey Magnets for only $9.99. Monkey Magnets are guaranteed to last 10 years or your money back. But wait, due to rising costs and supply chain shortages, this may be your last chance to get Monkey Magnets at this low price. There is a strict limit of 1 full house pack per order while supplies last. So order now to keep all your doors and drawers shut tight with Monkey Magnets.
Call 1-800-481-7214. That's 1-800-481-7214. Call or visit at monkeymagnets.com. So call 1-800-481-7214 now.
Israeli officials are expected to resume ceasefire and hostage negotiations remotely in the coming hours. The next phase of the Gaza ceasefire uncertain. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was set to hold...
Come on, move!
After the delegation returned from talks in Cairo on Friday. The first phase of the ceasefire was scheduled to end Saturday. The agreement with Hamas stipulates the truce can continue so long as negotiators are talking, so it may stretch on. An Israeli official on Thursday told CNN the military would continue to occupy the critical border area between Gaza and Egypt, which is known as the Philadelphia Corridor. Under the terms of the second phase, Israel is meant to start withdrawing from there and finish in 8 days, according to Hamas. An Israeli source tells CNN that Israel is trying to prolong the first phase of this ceasefire agreement by as much as possible in the hopes of securing the release of more hostages held in Gaza. Hamas says it is committed to the ceasefire. The U.S. envoy for the Middle East says the Trump administration hopes to get an extension of the first phase in order to negotiate phase two. Well, Israel continues to press on with its military operation in the occupied West Bank.
We did it!
1,000 Palestinians have been displaced from their homes since the IDF launched the expanded campaign in late January. As CNN's Jeremy Diamond reports, Israel's military operations in the West Bank are increasingly resembling its offensive in Gaza.
The road into Nor Shams is now unrecognizable. And yet the destruction here, wrought by the Israeli military in recent days, is also becoming all too familiar.
You did it. I know I didn't do that much, but you, you know, I thought you were just a bunch of creepy and quiet weirdos. Turns out you're a bunch of creepy, quiet weirdos with talent. You rob and you steal and destroy like geniuses.
On the occupied West Bank. Amid a ceasefire in Gaza, Israel is unleashing its firepower here, deploying tanks for the first time in more than 20 years, and targeting Palestinian refugee camps established in 1948 that have become hotbeds of Palestinian militancy.
This is the first time we're getting an up-close look at the destruction that's been wrought by the Israeli military over the course of the last 2 weeks here in the Nur Shams refugee camp. You can see around me the scale of destruction that looks something more like out of Gaza than out of the occupied West Bank. But what is
Girl, we don't got time for all this.
In Gaza is the displacement of people. About 40,000 people have been displaced from the West Bank over the course of the last month.
We found some of the displaced living here. What was once a wedding hall, now converted into a makeshift shelter for dozens forced to flee. Their mind off their ordeal. Fatima Taufik is now living in this makeshift room with several of her grandchildren. She lived through the first and second intifadas, but this is the first time she's been forced from her home. I've never seen this situation before. The Israelis doing something like this is the first time, she says. Her grandson Mahmoud recalls the moment Israeli troops ordered his family to leave their home. It was past 2 in the morning, and a voice on a loudspeaker called out for everyone to leave the area. I didn't take anything with me, he says. I left. Ruya. I want Mama, she says. Her mother is in the hospital with her little brother. Far from home, Ruya has never felt more alone. Tens of thousands are in the same position, fleeing homes in Nur Shams, Tulkarem, and Jenin as the military tears down residential buildings. The IDF says it is destroying buildings used as, quote, terrorist infrastructure. Palestinians say civilian infrastructure is being destroyed as a form of collective punishment. There is no telling how long their displacement will last. Israeli leaders are threatening a year-long operation. Fatima says her house has been turned into a military barracks. Where are we supposed to go, she asks. We don't know where we can go. An entire year is difficult. Jeremy Diamond, CNN, the West Bank.
Fresh information comes to light as investigators work to build a timeline in the mysterious death of Dean Huckman and wife Betsy. That story and more after the break.
Gracie is about to have her best day ever on the runway. Her strut turns into a stumble. Her Pumpkin Pet insurance plan covers up to 90% of eligible vet bills. Get a plan like Gracie's at pumpkin.care.
Do you have a box of videotapes, film reels, or photos that are degrading? Legacy Box professionally converts them to DVDs, thumb drive, or the cloud. Legacy Box is simple and safe, with over 1 million satisfied customers. Visit legacybox.com today and get 50% off.
I'm tagging along with a patrol of joint U.S. and Mexican forces.
Les agarramos, ahora sí, caminando todos.
This is a place where the Mexican government is building one of the 25 temporary shelters. Bueno, Venezuela, ¿cómo? ¿Cómo nos regresamos? ¿Quién nos va a ayudar? Thousands of migrants are now stuck on the U.S.-Mexico border. How is exactly going to deal the Mexican government with this upcoming crisis?
Connections across Africa are reshaping business, creating opportunities like never before. On Connecting Africa, follow the network of deals, smart conversations, and people transforming business to bring the continent together.
This month, Connecting Africa through logistics.
Through our ports logistics network, we provide an end-to-end supply chain into the continent.
Connecting Africa, only on CNN, in association with Afrexim Bank.
Welcome back. The Vatican is expected to provide an update soon on Pope Francis's health. It comes a day after the pontiff experienced a setback at the hospital. The Vatican said he had a sudden respiratory episode and required non-invasive mechanical ventilation. The issue was complicated by vomiting, some of which he had inhaled before medics treated him. The Vatican said he was alert and orientated, but not out of danger. 88-year-old was hospitalized for more than 2 weeks, battling double pneumonia. Well, further information has come to light in the investigation into the puzzling deaths of actor Gene Hackman and his wife Bessie. CNN's Maribel Gonzalez reports.
New details on the death investigation of 95-year-old actor Gene Hackman and his wife, 65-year-old Betsy Arakawa.
An initial interrogation. So yeah, she's 30 years younger than him. So of course, she died, and then she was like, "Nah, I'm not doing this. I'm out." Recorded on February 17th, 2020. That's exactly what happened. And then she forgot to feed the dog when she took them pills. Oh, let the dog out. I'm sorry, let the dog out.
I think that is a very good assumption that was his last day of life.
In an affidavit, deputies say the couple's bodies were found in separate rooms. Hackman near the kitchen with a walking cane and sunglasses near him. Arakawa was found in a bathroom next to a prescription bottle with scattered pills on the floor. Her body, quote, showed obvious signs of death, body decomposition, bloating in her face, and mummification.
They've clearly been dead for several days, and I'm saying days plural in order to get that kind of mummification. It's wrinkled up and it's dried, and it could be anything from kind of a leathery change all the way to the point that it's so hard that you can't even cut through it easily with a scalpel.
Santa Fe deputies recovered 2 cell phones, 3 kinds of medicine, MyQuest medical records, and a 2025 monthly planner from the home. Right now,
the manner and cause of death has not been determined.
I'm Maribel Gonzalez, reporting.
The measles outbreak in West Texas has grown to 146 confirmed cases. The Texas Department of Health Services say most cases are children between the ages of 5 and 17, but around 10% are infants. 20 patients are in hospital. The update comes just days after the first reported death in the outbreak. A school-aged child was not vaccinated. This is the first measles death in the U.S. in a decade. And since the virus is highly contagious, officials poultry farmers in Minnesota are embracing technology to help keep bird flu out of their flocks. They're using green lasers to keep wild ducks and geese, the main carriers of bird flu, away from chickens and turkeys. Humans can't see the lasers during the day, but birds can and avoid them. About 100 such lasers have been installed across the state. Farmers say that the mortality rates from bird flu have been cut in half. Egg prices in the U.S. are at an all-time high due to the nationwide bird flu outbreak. Well, U.S. federal regulators have cleared SpaceX to launch another test flight of its Starship spacecraft. Just weeks after the last one exploded, after 10 minutes after liftoff. Well, the new test flight was planned for Friday, but has been pushed back to Monday. January's explosion over the Atlantic caused flight disruptions and scattered debris across the Caribbean. One environmental group says residents in the Turks and Caicos are still finding debris littering their waters and beaches more than a month after the Starship exploded. Well, finally, a newly unearthed frieze in the ruins of Pompeii offers a rare glimpse into a mystery of Roman antiquity. Take a look at these scenes of a wild cult ritual once lining a spacious banquet hall and soon guests in the 1st century BC. The excavated artwork depicts
bitch. Oh, that's why. All right, I'm going to bed. It is 1:30, bitch. And I have shit to do in the morning, unfortunately. All right, y'all. Have a good night. I will see y'all later. Not tomorrow. I'm going to a parade. So I'm running the streets tomorrow. I'm going outside tomorrow. But yeah, y'all have fun. Be safe this weekend. And I will see y'all soon. Good night.